Peace, HHDG. We are on another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And shout out to everyone tuning in through our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, HHDG, Hip Hop Discussion Group. As you can see on the banner below, you can go check out our website, hhdgmedia.com. You find music that we put up there, as well as merch and upcoming events. As always, it's not a one-man show. HHDG Media Inc. consists of 5 owners: myself, Wiki, T. Smith, the Mayor, Rock Vader KB, and Skelly Top. Tonight, we have an established, multi-talented artist, MC, producer, done work behind the scenes, been grinding for so many years, and that success has continued to show in the years. It's worked with countless amount of producers, DJs, MCs, done plenty of shows for many to be able to witness what we love in his music. I still haven't got the chance, hopefully soon I get to see him, perform live somewhere. Probably got to travel down to Atlanta, but continues to put out mature music, and as the years progress, so does life, and he speaks of his life through his music, and it's always well orchestrated. He speaks on trials and tribulations, music, the grind. The list goes on. And when you listen to it, as I've gotten older, you go to appreciate, hearing that in the music, because you can relate to it. And, the rest is, I would like to speak through our upcoming guest, Supastition, about what we were just speaking on. Peace, Supastition.
Peace. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Man, I don't want to jump right into the latest EP, but I will say, it's a continuation of your catalog, your albums, your EPs. As life progresses, you show it so well in your music.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I see the success that, the latest EP called Every Last Word has been getting. A lot of praise.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's my career has been kind of a evolution. It's almost like you got a superhero and you got his real identity. I think, over the years it's kind of become one. I've become more of myself in the personality, as far as personality goes, than just Supastition. You know what I mean? I think when I approached it wrong when I went and changed my name, because I think that was too much for people and I didn't feel like I could be myself. So I was like, I have to figure out a way to evolve, because, anybody could make battle raps, in my opinion. Anybody could make raps about raps. But I was going through a thing, a point in my life where I wanted to speak on the type of music that people my age could relate to. And I didn't see a lot of it. Or people would only want to hear it from like more popular people. But I was like, just wait until people get up in age a little bit. Once you get past 35, you're going to be the awkward looking dude in the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be the guy in the club yawning, trying not to let everybody see you. So that's what basically my musical path has become. I realized that, nobody can tell the story the way I can tell my story. I used to wonder to myself, what do I have to offer that's different from everybody else? And I remember people would ask that, and I didn't have an answer, but the answer really lies within. Like I said, my experiences from being young until now, it's a certain way that you tell it. It's all about writing. I feel like as people probably look at me as like an OG or old head, when you're over the age of 35, but you have way more stories and experiences to tell,
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I was in my 20s, all I knew was anger, how to deal with it and how to rebel against it. Nobody ever offered a solution, you know. And that's what hip hop was to me. It was, a lot of times they were just rebelling against things, and we can find angry music anywhere. I did plenty of angry music.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, all right, I need to provide kind of uh, a self-reflective kind of a point of view on music and stuff, man. So,
Yeah.
I'm glad. I appreciate that. I truly appreciate the words, man, the kind words.
Absolutely. Anytime. Like I said, your work, I'm sure, has touched a lot of us. Um, Being that I've been a fan for so many years, and just going through life and then hearing someone else speak on their life, and it touches you in a certain way.
Yeah.
Without the music being so emotional, it's still hip hop to the to
Indeed,
the grain.
indeed. And one of the I think major setbacks I saw with hip hop was that when we go through things, what albums do we put on? Personally, for me, I was going to put on Donny Hathaway, Stevie albums, or even a rock album to kind of express the emotions, because like there wasn't a lot of emotional hip hop. It was either anger, or it was my dead homies. It was just no in between. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we've all been angry. We've all had people that passed away, but it's like, I like the way the game is going now. People are talking about things like, just anxiety. I remember it wasn't cool to talk about your family and your family responsibilities and things like that. But it's like, it's our job to show the younger generation how to age with class. They've got to be able to look at us and say, it's no problem being like these guys. I don't want to be the 40-year-old guy with the beard dye, and no disrespect to anybody that dyes their beard. And I just don't want to be wearing the same. I need there to be a generation gap. I don't want to be wearing the same clothes that my son's wearing. It has to be a generation gap with music, with fashion, with the way that we think.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with thinking young, but how you display yourself is completely different.
Right. I always say I have like, I got old school influence, but my hustle was more based on the newer cats. Because those old school cats were kind of getting jerked over a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Made great music, but as far as business decisions and stuff like that, I think the younger generation kind of has it a little bit more together. But the old school also paved the way so that they can have these type of deals and make money a certain way. So, I just try to give it a balance.
Yeah, that's like I work in the IT, and I've been doing it for decades. But even in my earlier years, while I was trying to progress in IT, I still worked on other skills, doing construction work, warehouse type of work, while still, building up and getting my credentials right with the IT world. So when I first started out with IT, I did a lot of hands-on stuff, and now I'm at the point where I'm doing managerial. So your appearance and how you dress also needs to mature.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. So we share similar paths on that, because, prior to music, I came from a small town and there weren't a lot of job opportunities. The major job opportunities in my family was manufacturing or warehousing work. And, I've got family members that work 20, 30 years at a manufacturer and things like that. And I watched them work there. I watched companies get shut down. I watched damn near my whole family get laid off and things like that.
Wow.
So even, while I was doing music, I would still work kind of odd jobs and things like that. But I realized I was like, I want to be able to do something outside of this. So during my years off, I got into like engineering or whatever, not audio engineering, but actual engineering. And, like you said, it just kind of worked my way up to a manager level. And the thing that it helped me the most was it helped me a lot with the way I communicate. Because when I was in hip hop before, I only really know how to communicate through rhyming. Like I would do interviews, I'd really be kind of afraid to let my true self out, or I would try to talk more like a rapper. And it's being kind of in corporate America taught me how to express myself. It taught me about your tone. There's a certain way that you can say things. You can
Right.
piss
Yep.
everybody off in the room, or you can basically say no, and you can say fuck you to somebody, but you can clean it up really nicely in a professional setting. So I had to learn like the balance, and I'm sure you know that,
Yep.
especially being a manager, and the way that you talk to people and you communicate with people. I always look at the world like, like with your children. You can't take the same approach with all of your children. You got some children that are more sensitive.
Absolutely.
You got some that you've got to be a little bit harder on and things like that. So, I try to apply all of that. And I think, to bring it back home, I do that with my music. There's certain people that they want to hear a song like Cold Blood, where I'm talking about I'm cutting people off. But then there's other people that want to hear a song like Closure, where, it's kind of a reality check for myself. Like, look, I'm not going to be who I thought I was, but this version of me is much doper. And this version of me is a lot happier. So I try to bring a lot of that into music. And I think a lot of brothers and sisters as well, and when they're in music, you're going to reach a crossroads where you're going to get to a point and you're going to realize, man, like I may not be able to go as far as I thought I would go. And it's like I watched the Bill Withers documentary, and he said, take a look around, because this may be as far as you go. It's about that journey, So I try to give them a realistic side of it, like you don't have to quit your dreams, but you can switch your dreams up a little bit,
Right. Yep. And there's nothing wrong with developing other skills.
Right. We dream every night. We lay down and have a different dream every night. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that you have to, give up on it, but some things change, I used to feel like my purpose on this earth was to do music. And as I got older, I realized I don't think that was my purpose. I think my purpose was to be here and raise my children who have way more potential in things than I've ever had, but I showed them that there's a way to do it. They looked at their dad and said, well, look at him. He's traveling around the world. He's doing what he loves. I don't try to force a lifestyle on him or, a career path on him. I'm like, be who you can be and be comfortable doing that. So, that's one of the main things with me, man. That's why I try to give off, like I said, just regular dude vibe. You know what I'm saying? I think people can relate to that more. I was always searching, like trying to find something for people to relate to. And I'm like, people can relate to me. I sit around and talk to people, like, my personality, man.
That's the progression right there. Yep.
Yeah, indeed, man. I don't know if it's some days I wonder if it's evolution or just me getting older and just not caring. Like,
yeah, probably depends more on the person's personality, how you see that.
Most def.
Now, being that you mentioned the first track, Cold Blood.
Yeah.
You work with DJ Robert Smith quite often.
Oh yeah, that's my guy, man. Yeah, that's my guy. If I need scratches, it's either gonna be DJ Robert Smith or DJ John Doe from Southern Vanguard, man. Like those are my two guys, two of the illest DJs. They work hard. There's never any BS. I hit them like, I need scratches on this. I send them my ideas. They'll send that shit right back to me. I don't have to check in like a month later, 2 months. And they know if they need something from me, like DJ Robert Smith and John Doe, they need a verse, a song, send it to me. I got you. You know what I'm saying? That's our working relationship, man. That's how I like to work, man.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, man.
And since we still talking about Robert Smith, you were just featured on that new track,
Thirsty for Action,
Slick Walk, which is Robert Smith and Merce.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, man. We did that track. I feel like we did it last year. I'm trying to remember because we've done so much work together. But he hit me up and was like, hey, I've got this track and it's also featuring QNC. And shout out to Q Ball and Kirk Bell, man. And I was like, yeah, I'm down with it. He sent me the beat, and the beat was a little different than the finished version that you've heard, but it was, still dope. And when they put it all together and added in the scratches, and I was like, okay, this is an amazing track. Then the fact that they, he always follows through. Whatever, whenever we do a track, he's either going to put it on the cassette or vinyl or something like that. So I know when I do collaborations with him, he's going to maximize it. He's going to do as much as he can with it or whatever, and push it out to his people, to his fan base. So shout out to Robert Smith, man. That's my guy. I was just talking to him actually a couple of days ago.
Nice.
We was talking about how dope it would be when we find, because I've never met him, how dope it would be when we get together and rock a show together, man.
Perfect. MC and DJ on stage. That's how it should be.
Man. Oh yeah, exactly, man. That's how I like to rock, man.
That's amazing. Since we're still talking about the EP, let's go to Make It Home.
Okay.
There was the first time I listened to the album, for those that are listening, the EP dropped on February 28th.
Correct.
The first time I listened to it, I was driving to a doctor's appointment. And I actually turned and looked around and threw me off. And the second time, while still driving, and came back, because I like to keep the track, keep the project on repeat, especially if it's a dope project like yours. So when they got back to the track again, same thing happened. I'm looking around, and then I realized the car horn was coming from the track.
And apparently you're not the only one that felt that way. And I intentionally did that for Make It Home. And for people that don't know, the first verse of Make It Home is basically talking about like a road rage incident that, kind of I went through. It's kind of it's got some fact and some fiction in it. But, during the part, I basically say like, somebody was blowing their horn, and I put like a real Honda horn in it. But I masked it in the music to make it sound like when you're driving and listening to music, so you just hear a horn. Like I wanted to make it feel as realistic as possible. And then, I saw somebody tweeted that, man, that Supastition, that horn got me today. And then a couple more people was like, yep, got me too, man. I was like, damn, my bad, y'all. But I wanted to show people kind of the inconvenience of that, like, when you're driving and stuff like that, man, like, no horn is ever convenient. You know what I'm saying? It's meant to throw you off, especially for no reason. You're looking like, yo, who the fuck? Like, what am I doing? That's crazy. The car horn is the new gunshot in the hip hop tracks, man.
Oh man. With these tracks, the track names and how it's sequenced, it feels like a day for you.
Yeah. And see, that's why I love when people actually get what you're trying to do, right? I think you might be the first person that truly understand, like has called that out. It's supposed to really be, even though it's a kind of a timepiece, it's really supposed to show a day in the life or whatever. You got, and I purposely set the tracks up that way. You start out with Cold Blood, which is very angry, and Make It Home is basically in the middle of the project, so it's kind of the peak. And then towards the end of the album, end of the EP, it's more of a peaceful and reflective vibe, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it's going to be. And so that's part one of a 2-part series. So part 2 will continue more on that kind of almost like a peaceful journey. Like there'll be moments in there that kind of, that throw me off course, but that's how life is, and it's just to show like, look, you got some bad days and some good days. But at the end, it's all about how you look at things. And part 2 will be more of in hindsight. This one, part 1, it was more about, every last word was about dealing with everything in the moment. And in my heart, like, every last word of it. This is what I'm feeling. But then, when you get to part 2, you'll realize, looking at things a little bit different now because I'm looking at it, in hindsight. So, but yeah, definitely, man. It's kind of to show just kind of a day in the life, man. You might start out your day, like going through some crazy stuff or whatever and being angry, but at the end of the day, you just want to make it home to your family. And then when you get home to your family, you sit back and think, like, was all of this shit worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like all the stuff that I was angry about, all the things that bother me, at the end of the day, it's like I have a place to lay my head. I got my family here and things like that. So, but yeah, I appreciate that, man. You peeped that, man.
Absolutely. Superstition from Every Last Word compared to Superstition from 7 Years Bad Luck.
Man.
How would that younger Superstition, if he was to see you now, what would he be thinking?
He'd be thinking, you still rapping? Like, nah. I think he would be very proud of me. I have changed in almost every aspect that I could possibly think of. First album, really angry, dealing with a lot of just trauma that I never dealt with as a young man. Just a lot of anger, didn't know like my real father and things like that. Went through situations where like, with my kids and went through instances and incidents with the music industry and things like that. And now I look at things a lot different, actually. Before, I think it was more finger pointing. This person did me wrong. You did me wrong. You did me dirty. Now, as I've gotten older, I realized it's about accountability. Somebody may have done me wrong, but I also allowed them to do me wrong. Like I kept putting myself in these situations, or there was a lot of things that I could do different. So I think the younger version of me would be proud and would be happy to see that I've made it this far. Because, like most Black men in their 20s, I didn't expect to see 30. I was surprised to see 30 and 35. When you, especially, I was telling somebody recently about how I went through depression. Like I didn't even know if I was going to see the next day. And like the difference between like depression is like, nothing matters. You can't see it. And then, you overcome that depression. Then you get anxiety because it's like, oh shit, everything matters. What have I been doing? It's like, you know what I mean? It's either you don't care or you care too much. I'm one of those type of people. So I think, the younger version of Superstition will be very proud of the music that I'm making and the fact that I still feel like I'm technically getting better as a rapper because I constantly write, and people can hear it in my music. It's like I've always wanted to be, and, not to compare myself to him, but I always wanted to be the Black Thought type of rapper. You hear Black Thought and you're like, yo, this guy keeps getting better. And that comes from constantly writing, constantly working and caring about your craft. Like for Black Thought, there is no peak for him. He continuously wants to get better. He's constantly working with more people. He's trying, different genres, different styles and different things like that. And that's how I am. I constantly keep pushing myself. I don't feel like as long as I can breathe, as long as I can rap, I should continue to get better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to shout out a friend of both of ours, and you were on his show, Panther Politics, Seven the Panther.
Oh yeah, that's the homie.
You mentioned, because I'm bringing this up because you talked about your father, who wasn't in your life, and then the time that he did become in your life, he was going in just that fast.
Right. Yeah, he was in his last days. He had a massive stroke, and I don't think it was so much about me, but I think I was looking at a man who was about to see God. And he wanted to make things right before he left. And I think the guilt was eating him alive. It was one of them things where I just realized I never want to be in this situation. And, I did like, it's crazy because as a, like I said, as being younger, I met my father when I can remember meeting him when I was like 10 years old or 11 years old and just never saw him again. And I had all these things in my head, like, yo, if I ever see him as a grown man, this is what I'm going to say to him. This is what it's going to be like. You know what I mean? Then the fact that when I finally got a chance to talk to him, he had a stroke. He couldn't talk. So it's like all these things I had planned to say was like, You know, it's almost like God, like, you've got to let that go. Like, you know, if you've got to accept this is what it is, you know. And, you know, it was tough to deal with at first, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, good things come out of that. I found out I had a sister that I never knew my entire life. We built a relationship, you know, with
Great.
her family and my family, and you know, things are beautiful, man. So, you know, God always makes a way, bro.
Yep. There you go.
Indeed.
You count your blessings.
Always, man.
You know, and you alone, you and your wife have, with the health, have come a long way as well. So
Yeah, for sure.
thank you for, you know, still pushing through. You know, God willing,
Yeah,
it's
indeed, man.
doing His work.
Yeah, and that comes from having a strong family on both of our sides, my wife's family and my family. We've seen our share of sickness, death. We've seen our ups and downs, but one thing that's never changed is, you know, we always got each other, you know, and that's not even to be just sentimental, but, you know, like, she beat cancer. After she beat cancer, that told me, like, dude, you could do anything if you believe it, you know. Never give up. And even in my hardest times, I always look back to her. And I always tell people, our wives are much stronger than we are. You know what I'm saying? That's why we become babies when we get sick. You know, my wife had cancer and brushed it off like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'd probably be in a room for 100 days after I found out that. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's different, man. But, you know, much appreciative to the wife, man. And, you know, just my family as well, man. I come from my mother's one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. She's been through a lot. And I think my mother, and I rarely get to talk about this, but my mother is one of my biggest influences, because people don't know that my mother had me when she was a teenager, but she was in high school, but she also had a college basketball scholarship. She went to college, played basketball for a couple years. She was a beast. Tore one of her MCLs, then went back and tore the other MCL. Came back home after that, started working a little bullshit job. I mean, we lived with my grandmother, and I watched her go from like living with my grandparents to living in a trailer to living in an apartment to living in, you know, renting a house to buying a house. Like, I watched my mother go through all these things, and she never complained. She never gave up. And it was one of those things to me, like, look, you may have a path that you set out to be, but life's going to throw different things at you. And at the end of the day, it's about taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. Like, granted, you know, I'm not living off of music, but I'm making a great living outside of music. And so it's crazy. Like, I spent most of my life being the broke rapper, and now I'm not the broke rapper. And that was crazy, because I was like, what do I rap about? For so long, I've rapped about struggle and not having money. And then when we got money out, for years, I was like, what do I talk about, dog? Like, so, but yeah, man, a big inspiration from the women in my life, man.
That's great. Speaking of that, that reminds me of the vibe of your album, Chain Letters. There was a lot of life and inspiration in that album.
Yeah, that was me at a kind of a crossroads. I think I recorded that album when I was in my late 20s, going on my 30s, and I was finding some peace, a lot more peace than I had on my first album. You know, and people could tell that. Like, I had Yesterday Every Day, which is a song from it that's more reflective of the type of stuff that I'm doing now. So I was, you know, adding little pieces here and there. Even on the Deadline, Fountain of Youth. Fountain of Youth fits perfectly with what I'm talking about now. You know what I'm saying? But back then, I learned from my first album that you can't force too much on people at one time. Like, to come out on my first album and be, you know, angry, be like, fuck the industry on my first album. People don't even know me. They don't know what I've been through. That approach I did it way too early. So I realized that it has to be a gradual build up to tell your story. You know, it's like, you know, just imagine, like, all right, your first date with a girl, and The first thing you talk to her, she's spilling out her entire life,
No way.
everything that's wrong. So it's like I had to realize that's how music listeners are. It's like, whoa. Let us get to know you first, and then we can kind of care about your problems and your pain and things like that. So, but that's what I did. With Chain Letters was I still had to prove to me in my head that I was dope. So I had the tracks that I was spitting. I also had to prove to people that I could pick production, because I got a lot of bad reviews from 7 Years of Bad Luck on the production. So, but I also had to, I always wanted to show love and show that I was a little bit more mature and I had things to talk about. I wanted to show people that I was a writer, because I used to be like a fierce battle MC prior to 7 Years of Bad Luck, and probably prior to like the Deadline and Chain Letters. And I remember I would do songs, heartfelt songs at shows, and people would be like, kick a freestyle, blah blah. And it's like, yo, like it's just I didn't feel like I was getting respected as far as being a writer.
Right.
And like I said, I could freestyle really well. And I was just like, look, there's already a Supernatural. Like what are we doing? That's not your path. So I kind of got out. I actually stepped away from battling for a long time just to focus on, writing and recording albums. And I wanted to be respected as an artist. And then, at that time, battle rappers had the, that stigma that they couldn't make good albums and couldn't make good songs. And I didn't want to get trapped in that. So.
Wow. Did you say you got flack for the production on Chain Letters?
No, for 7 Years of Bad Luck. Not for Chain Letters. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say.
Nah, Chain Letters was one of those ones, like, it's crazy because I worked with a lot of people very early on.
Yeah.
Of course, M Phase is Ill Mind.
Illmind,
Jake One was already established as well, but me and Jake One had the same manager at that time. And so I was getting Jake One beats. I was getting Jake One beats sent to me when I was recording 7 Years of Bad Luck.
Oh, wow.
I was getting Jake One beats. Like the manager that shout out to Alif A1. He was a manager with Walt Liquor, and Walt Liquor's 427 down with Planet Asia. They managed at that time, they managed Jake One, Vitamin D, DJ Khalil. So they were sending me just beats from all of these guys. And I was like, look, I need production on the level of what I'm hearing right here, because it is possible. At first, I didn't think it was possible to have production that good by almost an unknown producer. I thought only Pete Rock and Premier could give you that type. And I was like, I don't have that type of budget. But as I started hearing those beat CDs, I started, linking with people like M Phases and Illmind and Nicolay and all of these guys. And it was like, yeah, I think I can make. I felt like, to me, Chain Letters felt like my first real album. 7 Years of Bad Luck was a bunch of demos, and then I added a song. The Deadline was leftover songs from Chain Letters, even though it came out first. So Chain Letters to me was the first album that I sat down and said, I'm going to make an album called this, and this is what's going to be on it. So that's what you hear when you listen to Chain Letters. That's my first time making an album from beginning to end. So
okay, that's dope. And I love the concept with that album cover.
Oh yeah, shout out to my man Sal, Sal from Soul Spasm. He had the concept as well, because we were talking about Chain Letters, and he's a great graphic designer, man. But he had it, just the mailing label and everything, man. He had some press pictures. I was sitting on top of mailboxes and all that. I remember posing for press pictures. I was sitting on top of the mailbox, the police rolling up, like, what are y'all? What y'all doing over here? It's like, But yeah, that concept came from Sal. I just had the Chain Letters idea, didn't really have an idea for the cover, and Sal from Soul Spasm put it together, man.
Dope. Since we still talking about that real quick, got that 12-inch.
Oh yeah, the Hate My Face 12-inch, man. Yep, with the B-side, Soul Control.
Soul Control, Fonte and Big Pooh.
Yes, that's my dudes, man. It's my brothers, man. Yeah, that's for Hate My Face was I had known Jake One for a while, and I liked his beats. And I remember Jake hit me and was like, I have a beat for you. And I'm like, Okay. I didn't think much. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a random beat he made. He was like, nah, this beat I made for
For
you.
you? Oh,
And he sent over the Hate My Face beat. And he says, well, you know, I ain't even gonna say the sample, but he was like, yeah, it's not the sample that everybody thinks it is. And he sends it over to me, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, but I didn't pick that as my first single. I think I picked That Ain't Me as my first single, and the label was like, you gotta do Hate My Face. They're like, trust me, this has to be your first song. And I understood it years later when I started doing shows. I would end all of my shows with Hate My Face. And you already, you know, the best songs in your catalog you save for last. And
yep.
just to see the crowd screaming super, and man, it was really, really dope, man. It's really dope.
Oh, man.
And Soul Control, you already know, man. Little brother and myself, we were just coming up around the same time. They actually opened for me at my album release party for 7 Years of Bad Luck before the
Oh,
listening.
wow.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
I've been on their manager, Big Doe. I knew Big Doe
Yeah,
before any of them. And I was basically throwing like a huge album release party in Charlotte, and Big Doe was like, I got some dudes in my crew that I want to open if there's a spot. I was like, hell yeah. And he sent me the music, and I couldn't believe, I was like, they from NC? You know, and that's crazy because I was like, the music, the quality of the music was great. The sound recording was great. I said, they can't be from NC, man. And dog, from that day, we've been tight, man. Me and Fonte and Pooh always just been tight. And you know, I was cool with Knife as well, but Fonte and Pooh, we just bonded more, man. You know, and Fonte, I could hit him up or he'll hit me up and we'll talk for hours, man.
That's
We got
great,
so
man.
much in common, bro.
Shout out to Fontaine Pooh, who are actually about to perform tomorrow in Brooklyn
At the
at the
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Bowl?
Bowl. Yeah, with
Yeah,
Sky
man.
Zoo and Cooley High.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's a hell of a lineup, man.
Yeah,
Kaizu and Cooley High, man. Shout out to both of them, man. Cooley
yeah,
High is dope as well, too. They got a lot of history in North Carolina.
yeah, yeah. What's his name? Charlie Smarts and DJ Ill Digits dropping the album next month.
Okay, dope,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. They just dropped the first single not too long ago. Haters Anonymous.
Okay, yeah, I gotta check that,
Pretty
man.
dope. Yeah,
I gotta check that, man. They've been around. I mean, I remember they was young, man. They was like fresh, just getting into college back when I met them. And Rhapsody was still with Cooley High.
mm-hmm. Man, amazing. One thing we haven't spoken about yet is your engineering skills.
Man,
How long has this been coming along now?
dog, it was not intentional, right? So
Really?
let me tell you, like, I like writing, recording, making beats. I absolutely hate mixing with a passion. I would rather paint my house twice than mix one song, man. So, so here's the thing. I have been recording myself for years. So I would always kind of mix and edit the vocals. And when I send it to an engineer, you know, I've worked with different engineers and they've showed me how to clean up my vocals, how it should be recorded, what levels. And I didn't realize that I knew how to mix. Then I started sending over demo mixes to engineers to mix my songs, and my demo mixes, in my opinion, sounded better than their finished versions of it. So when I started, I sent the project over to Shiloh. Well, Shy the Beat Yoda. That's, you know, he's homies with Marco as well. He's a
Marco
MC,
Polo,
producer,
right? First
DJ.
Division. Yeah, I remember.
I sent the project over to Shiloh, and he was trying to mix it, but he was also mixing Marco Polo's new record. And so he was like, look, you know, I'm trying to do both. So I sent him all 6 songs and he didn't have a chance to mix them all. So I was like, look, you just do 3 and I'll do the other 3 or whatever. Because technically I've recorded them all. I've made all the beats. Like I have everything here I need to mix. And so I went through and mixed those 3. And I used his first 3 mixes as a reference to mix my own because I wanted to sound like it's all, you know, all done at the same place and things like that. But yeah, it was purely intentional. I may be mixing going forward now that, you know, I got a little bit more confidence in my mixes and stuff like that. And it makes the project go along smoother. You know, I write, record, make the beat, mix it on the spot, and move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
an easy process. It's all about their workflow.
Yeah. So you for the EP you did Closure,
Yeah, I did.
Scatterbrain, and Head Above Water.
Yeah, I did. Yep, exactly. I did Head Above Water, Scatterbrain, and Closure. So Shiloh did the first three, and then
Mm-hmm.
I did the last three on the record.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
but I always knew I wanted to mix Closure, because I love that record. I've been sitting on that record for probably 2 years, and it was one of those things where a lot of times when you send people a mix of a beat, they want everything tracked out. And I didn't want to track that beat out. I wanted it sounding exactly how it came out of the machine. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anything extra. I want the vocals to sound like that. And you know, like I said, once I mixed Closure, I was like, you know what? I think I can do okay on mixing now, man. So, you know. So I may end up mixing part 2.
Okay.
But it wasn't intentional, dog. I had no
Learn something
no
new.
plans. Exactly, man. Somebody was like, man, you're like a one-stop shop. Like, you know, I was like, write, record, produce, mix, do graphic design if you have to. And all the video content you've been seeing of me is all me filming myself, editing
Oh,
myself, and everything. So it's like you pick up little trades as you go, you know.
that's nice. You know, before we keep going, extended shout out to Shiloh, shout out to Beat Yoda,
Yes,
because
sir.
he dropped a dope album last year with Franchise.
Yeah,
No,
man.
the two of them known as the Dookie Brothers.
Dookie Bros, man. Yeah, that's and it's crazy because he sent me a lot of those songs before they came out. Was like, yo, what do you think about the concept? He was like, I want to do things more, you know, just funny. It's like hip hop is missing like the comedy side, you know, like, you know, we always had, to me, like a Biz Markie, a J Zone, you know what I'm saying? Like a Sean Price. It's
Yep.
always like had a hint of comedy to it. So um when he saw, you know, I started listening to the songs, I'm like, yo, they're dope. And I recorded a song for I thought it would have been the first album, but it was actually for the second album or whatever. So I'll be on the follow-up release. But yeah, Shy is super talented, man, at damn near everything he touches, rhyming, you know, DJing, producing, mixing. Man, it was just like, damn, man, he's like a quadruple threat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to Franchise as well, too, man. Real cool cat.
Yep. Yeah. You just mentioned you also do graphic design, but for Every Last Word, you had the very talented PQ.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. So before I had a concept for the album, I knew that I didn't want to do the graphic design for it because I like for my covers to be kind of done by artists and like actual artists. And when I spoke to PQ, I told him I don't want to be on the cover technically. I don't want you to take a picture of me and then throw some font on it. Like, I don't want that. I want art pieces. And so when I reached out, I broke them down. I broke down the concept to him. I said it's going to be a 2-part series. Whoever's working on it, I want them to work on both. So he's done both covers for it already. The dude is amazing. I first saw his work on Sleep Sinatra's album, In God's Image.
Okay.
Sleep Sinatra from Nebraska, really dope cat. I met him while I was on tour. I saw his album cover and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Then I went and saw some other work that PQ had did, and I was like, I have to work with him. So initially I wanted him to design the cover for Speaker Bullies, but it was taking a while. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna hire him for my own. You know what I'm saying? Speaker Bullies just either have to find another graphic designer or artist for it or whatever. But I was like, I need him for this concept. And he bodied it, man. He sent me back both covers. And when you see both covers or whatever, like when you see them together, it's amazing. It all makes sense, man. So shout out to PQ, man. I
Yeah,
think he's from
shout out to
Philly,
you.
man. Really, really, really dope artist.
Yep. Yeah, I've been talking, trying to get him on the podcast.
Okay, dope, man. Yeah, hopefully you can make that happen, man.
Yeah,
Really good
def-
guy. He's worked with a lot of different cats too, man, and
yeah.
he's a producer as well too, I think.
I was gonna say that, don't sleep on his production.
Yeah, man. So it's a small world, and I'm glad to bring kind of more awareness to the work that he's doing as well too. And a lot of people that saw the cover was like, "Yo, like who did this? Like this is amazing." So I think I'm glad that this project could be a good look for him as well.
Absolutely. So outside of music, what is continuously keeping you motivated? You got the family, doing well with the music.
Um, these damn kids, man. That's it's the realest dad response ever, man. The black father response, man. Nah, my family motivates me. My kids, they motivate me and my wife because, you know, I actually have 3 kids. My oldest she'll be 30 this year actually because I had a daughter when I was 16. She's out doing her own thing. She's grown. You can't tell her nothing. And I've got my other 2 that they both, well, one of them's in college. My daughter's in college. She's amazing. Um, she's into video editing, graphic design, and I mean the girl is absolutely amazing at it. If she's what I am to hip hop with her graphic design and animating, and she used to joke with me and say, "Dad, I got more YouTube followers than you." Oh, you get out of here! You don't have that. She showed me her actual YouTube page, and she's got 10,000 followers.
Oh,
She's never shown her face. She doesn't talk. She just shows people how to edit videos with
nice.
music, and it's amazing. My son as well, top performing student in this class. Man, these kids are brilliant. They are my motivation every day, and I swear they think I'm the. I mean, it's good because they think I'm the best dad ever. They think I'm the best guy ever, and you can't
And then
ask
you
for
live.
more than that from your kids, man.
Yeah.
That's why I said on Head Above Water. Would you rather give it all to your fans or your kids? And because at the end of the day, like they think I'm amazing, even on my bad days. Listeners and supporters, you might have some shit that they don't feel, and they're gonna let you know. It's okay. I'll catch you on the next one. My kids, even if I have a bad day, my family, they're gonna love me regardless, even on my worst days. So, I try to give it all to them. Also, just I'm motivated to continue doing music for as long as I can because I still love the music. Like there was some months that I couldn't rap, from like lung issues, and all I could do was listen. And it was a very humbling experience, but it forced me to become a fan of it again. It's like, I listened to everybody's album, everybody that was coming out at that time, man. And it was just like, oh, this is dope. This makes me want to write. When you hear some good music and you're an artist yourself, it makes you want to stay creative, and it's like at that time I couldn't rap. All I could do was make beats. And that's when I spoke with you before when I produced the album for Bamboo. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't really in a position to rap. I could do a hook, you know what I'm saying? And I even struggled through that at the time. But Bamboo saw me just creating. He knew I couldn't do much musically as far as rapping. He's like, yo, like I'll rap to the beats. And I'm like, hell yeah. And regardless of whether people heard that album, that to me it was a victory for me because it kept me motivated. He saw me kind of in a rut almost, and it was like, and that's my real life friend. And he wanted to work together, and I said, you know what, that's my homie. Like that's my homie. Our families, spend holidays together. So the project with Bamboo really helped me break out of that, and it also helped me hone my production because once you've produced an album for somebody, dog, like that takes skills. So by the time I got into my project, and I kept some of the beats. I ain't sent Bamboo all the good joints, right? So I had some waiting in my project, and I also sent him a couple of joints, but it made me just motivated, man. And I knew once I got back on the mic, these are the tracks that I'm using. So
Amazing, amazing. For those listening, the album he's talking about with Bamboo, the Asiatic, is called Reclamation.
yeah, man. Reclamation, man. Really, really dope album. Very slept on album. Production and rhymes. Me and Bamboo got great chemistry because, like I said, we're cool outside of music. You know what I mean? We understand each other, man. So, our styles are different as far as rhyming goes, but we listen to the same type of hip hop. We hang around the same guys, you know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
hang around John Doe, Eddie Meeks, DJ Pocket, all of those are our homies, Oxygen. That's
Oh
our crew.
man, Oxygen, Soundside.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep. That's the homies, man.
Man, matter of fact, what I got over here. Let me see. This joint right here, Walk the Earth.
Okay, Walk the Earth. Yeah, man. Yeah. My favorite joint on that is I think Ronin.
Oh yeah.
That was the first. I wasn't even actually in Soundside when I did Ronin. They just, those were the homies, and they said, "Yo, you want to do a verse on it?" And I heard it, and I was like, "The beat sounds like some Wu-Tang shit." And I went to Tone Odyssey's crib at that time, and I just dropped a verse, and he was just like, shh. Then, like, I think it was a couple weeks later, he was like, "Yo, what do you think about being a part of Soundside?" At that time, I didn't know what it meant. I thought maybe just extended crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, "No, we want you to be on the songs and all of that." So I did 2 projects with them, and they all came out really, really dope. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the brothers, man. And those guys welcomed me to Atlanta when I first moved here. Those were the guys that I hung around. And I always remember them and Bamboo as well too. We all friends and stuff. But yeah, they kind of just welcomed me in, man. So those are that's my family, man. That's my crew.
That's great. Mm-hmm. You were also talking about inspiration. Tell us about producer Praise giving you inspiration.
Oh yeah, man. Shout out to Praise. I just spoke to him earlier today. Yeah, so after Chain Letters, I didn't work exclusively with M Phases and Illmind, but they did the bulk of my production. But following that, they both were moving up in their careers. They were getting a lot of opportunities. I was very proud of them. And I'm still proud of them to this day. But the music started to change. Illmind was doing more sample-free stuff, trying to get placements. And the placements could be a dirty game, almost like, so if they're trying to get placements on this person's album, then they don't have time to make as many beats. Like they used to make beats, especially for me. And once they started moving up, I couldn't go where they were going musically. This is not me. I'm a boom bap, dusty, dirty type of guy. So for years, I went through different producers until I met this brother by the name of Proverb, and we were friends before he passed away. Rest in peace to Proverb. I remember Proverb before he passed, he said, "Man, there's a guy named Praise that you should listen to, and his beats are dope." And Proverb used to always recommend me different people. So I'm like, man, let me check this out. And I pressed play. It's like a dog, like my ears stood straight up. It's like, you can make that ugly face like, are you serious? Like, every producer's got one good track. Then I hit the next track. Bong. Bong. I was like, oh my God, who is this dude, man? And crazy enough, he was managed by Big Doe, which was my homie. So, and he's still managed by Big Doe. And so I talked to him and he told me he was managed by Doe. And I was talking to Doe. He was like, "Yeah, I thought you knew that. You know about Praise?" I'm like, "No, like you've been keeping them hidden from me." So I was really inspired because every beat that Praise sent me, I wanted to rap to. Usually it's a situation a producer sends over a batch of beats. You pick one or two that fit what you're working on. I heard Praise's beats and wanted to change the sound of my entire project. I remember Gold Standard was one of the first times we worked together. I had some tracks before that. Praise knocked a lot of producers off that album. It's like he ended up doing probably half or almost half of that album. And after Gold Standard, I had a serious conversation with Praise. I'm like, look, dog, I can continue to just buy beats from you, or we can create something with equity where, you know, we could be equal partners on this. And we had an idea. Big Doe came with the name Speaker Bullies, and you know, we just been working together ever since, man. And he's become my, you know, my good friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, families met each other. You know, I've been to his house and crashed with my family. He's, you know, he's been here as well too, you know. So yeah, consider him you know, music partner and a friend, man. It's a real guy.
That's great.
And he's super humble too, because he always gets geeked like when I speak of him. I'm just like, yo, like you like, you know, I like you're my producer, basically. You know what I mean? But he's just super humble, man. So we'd be happy to hear.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I always look forward to when I see his name, see what else he got out there.
Yeah, he'd be a good person to be on the show too, man. Like Praise has done a lot of stuff people don't even know about too, man.
Yeah.
And people don't know he's a dope rapper. He was a rapper before he was a producer. He was a dope rapper. I'll still be trying to get him on the mic now, man. I was like, yo, wouldn't it be crazy? Like we could do like almost like how in the video Pete Rock and CL Smooth, the creator. Yeah, Pete Rock rapping, he had CL Smooth on the tables or something. I'm just like, yo, we could flip it up. Do one Speaker Bully joint where you rapping and I'm making the beat. You know, I just thought that would be dope, man. So like imagine the possibilities, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know, I also shout him. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I also shout out Praise too, man, for my production getting better, because working with him and working with Knots and different people like that, my homie DR and all these guys, they make you want to get better. Like I don't want to send Praise any trash because I see what he's sending me. And when I was sending him beats, he was just like, dude, you got it. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get better. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you got it. And at some point, you know, I felt like I finally reached where I needed to reach as far as being able to produce for myself, because I never really want to produce for a lot of different people. There are some people that I produce for, like Bamboo. There's a couple of other people, but I never want to be the guy that wants beats on everybody's projects. I make beats for myself, technically. Mm-hmm. And I credit Praise a lot for he didn't teach me how to make beats. I probably was making beats before him, but I picked up a lot of things from him as far as production and things like that, man. So drums, bass lines, how to chop, variations in beats and stuff like that too. So it's definitely an influence. Jake won as well too, man.
Definitely shout them out, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel that, you know, in your heart that you gravitate towards others that, you know, have that same humble yet honest, you know, personality.
Absolutely.
And always end up creating great music.
Yeah, that's something I learned early on in the music business. You know, you can find talent anywhere. It's hard to find a good person though. You know what I mean? It's hard to find an artist, producer, or DJ who isn't egotistical, who isn't a liability, who isn't hot-headed. You know, and I used to be hot-headed as well too. You know what I mean? So now I try to look for people that are a pleasure to work with. And some of the most talented producers I've worked with, I can't say it was always a pleasure working with them. I felt like a lot of times I had to do a lot. Like people don't see all the things you had to do to get a beat, or all the things you had to do to get a verse. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have to wait 8 months to a year for a verse from one person and stuff like that. Like people don't see all of that. Or you might record the song and you feel like it was perfect, but by the time you're ready to put it out, the producer sold the beat. So, you know what I mean? It's just those type of things. So now I kind of gravitate towards more people that, you know, they do music, but they aren't chasing it. That way you don't get used as a stepping stone. I think early in my career too, I got used as a stepping stone. A lot of people were just on the way up. They were working with anybody that was dope, that had a name and things like that. And at the end of the day, like, you know, they weren't trying to put me in a better place.
Right,
And,
right.
and it wasn't their responsibility, but I'm more mindful of that, So now with people like, Praise, um, I'll try to build something together. I kind of made a misstep with that when I did like Honest Living with Croup. And you hear me mention Croup on the Head Above Water track. We just had a disagreement over basically money. He thought there was a lot of money to be made, and I'm telling him there wasn't a lot of money being made. And I'm trying to explain it to him and break down the business like, hey, when a project first comes out, yes, there's money, but here we are 3 years later, 4 years later, and this was a Name Your Price album. Dude, there's no money. Like, and any digital distributor will tell you, like, if it doesn't equal up to $100, you don't get paid. So why am I spending 3 or 4 hours to go through these statements and give you $25, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot now, I just search for people that kind of have a business mind. Like I said, I don't do people that's chasing it. People that's chasing it, just trying to get what they can get until they reach the top and things like that. And a lot of egotistical people and people that are just, we're all kind of weird as artists and musicians, but you've got to be able to work well with others or whatever, man. And that's really what I look for now. So that's probably a big reason why I do my own production now too. I would love to work with a lot of people, but I don't have no problems working with myself. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We got some people that have been watching and talking in the comments, so I'm going to shout them out.
Yeah, for sure.
We got George Jr. Williams shouting me out, and props to you, Superstition. He says he's been a fan since 7 years of Bad Luck.
Wow.
Okay. That you're still doing your thing. EP is dope.
Oh, that's love, man. That's love, man. Shout out to George, man. Yeah, been a fan since 7 years of Bad Luck. That's a day one,
Mm-hmm.
He's seen the ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? He's been there through all the evolutions of the music and things like that. That's really dope.
Dope. And we also have a very talented MC from Detroit, Leif Erickson, tuning in. Said peace.
Oh man.
Any more tracks with Finale soon?
Oh man. So shout out to Leif Erickson, man. He's dope. He's dope. I've heard you. He may not believe it, but I've heard his stuff, man.
There you go.
Me and Finale have an unreleased song. I don't know what it's coming out on. I originally had planned for it. I don't think it's going to work on that project. But yes, more tracks with Finale. There are certain MCs I like rapping with. And I can give you a short list. And this is not everybody. Fonte, love rapping with Fonte. Finale. Wordsworth. Midas the Beast, Ken Star. These are all people that when they send out the bat signal and they need something from me, I'm there because I love rapping with people that could really rap. And Finale is one of those guys, one of the most underrated MCs off the Detroit scene, man. I think because his flow is so laid back, I don't think people understand what he's doing technically. Like he's not flashy with it, but I'm like, yo, did you hear how he connected that shit together? Like, Finale's amazing, man. I had to work with him on the project with him and Spear 1200 and anytime. And I always joke with Wordsworth, and I was like, man, we like the mercenaries for hire, man, because when people need features, it's usually me, Words, and Finale, and we always end up on songs together and stuff like that in some different combinations. So. Shout out to the brother Finale, man.
Absolutely dope.
Yeah, hopefully more joints.
Finale.
Yeah, a pipe dream and a promise, man. Yeah, man. Shout out to Finale. I haven't talked to her in a while, but I know he used to run tight with Invincible as well. And another incredible MC. Incredible MC.
She's been steady in Michigan, with the activism. And
definitely
just keeping everyone informed of what's going on around there.
Yeah, it's always been her heart,
and she always spoke about that in her music too.
Yeah. That's the fam, man. It's been a minute.
Man.
I had an unreleased track with Invincible, and She recorded it at a homie of mine's house, and I don't know whatever happened to the verse. I tried to find it. He was like, "Yo, I don't
Oh,
have the session."
wow.
So this was probably around the time of like Splitting Image, and it was a really dope track, but I don't know where the vocals are. So
Crazy. You mentioned Ken Starr. This is still one of my favorite albums, Square One.
Yeah, Ken, man. You know, at one point we had discussed doing a project, and we were gonna call it Superstar.
Nice.
Ken is
Nice.
just he's really dope. I just think we work at a different pace. I write and record a lot faster than Ken.
Mhm.
So a lot of times, like, I don't like to do projects and have them sit around, even though Speakable has taken me probably longer than any other project. But Ken did a verse for the Speaker Bullies, but he sent it over too late after we had technically finished it. But we'll definitely do more work together. I know he's got some stuff that he's working on too. But yeah, Ken, he knows, man. He's one of my favorite rappers, man. I think me and Ken are like the yin and yang. Like, we're both technical, we're lyrical. He's laid back. I'm a little bit more energetic and aggressive. And I think it's always a good combination, man.
Man, yeah. Just recently, shout out to Kev Brown. I tune in every time he's on Twitch.
Yeah.
And a few days ago, Ken Starr was in the chat. So Kev Brown just went into full Ken Starr mode. Songs, unreleased stuff on his hard drive, guest features. It was dope hearing all this live.
I've got some unreleased Ken Starr and Kev Brown stuff. Like, we did a track together.
Ooh.
I don't know what it's on. I don't know if it's gonna be on Ken's project or Kev's project, but I've done some stuff for that too, man. Like, Brothers is dope, man. Low budget is a crew.
Yeah. Speaking of Kev Brown, I just interviewed Jay Cyanide and D Styles a few days ago.
I was watching. Yeah, I saw that, man. I was watching. Yeah, I'll be lurking. You know that.
You were on that Drum Machine tape cassette Steroids track.
Right. Yep. Yeah, Jay Cyanide. People don't know Jay Cyanide's been one of my best friends since like 1998. It's like,
wow, really?
Yeah, I do. When I moved to Charlotte in 97, like the end of 97, early 98, I didn't know a lot of people. I knew one DJ. His name was DJ Page. He worked at the radio station there, and I knew him because he went to college in my hometown and had a radio show there. First person I met was Jay Cyanide at a place called the Moon Room. My rap name was Blackmail, and Jay Cyanide's rap name was Sun Scientific. So that'll tell you what era that was. Our families know each other. His parents know me. His family know me and everything, man. Our kids know each other. Yeah, dude, that's been one of my close homies. Jay Cyanide is the reason I know John Doe and Eddie Meeks from Prophetics.
There goes the connection.
He introduced me to Binkus Rex. Shout out to Jax, Flux.
Jackson, yes.
He introduced me to a lot of people in the Atlanta scene. We were kind of yin and yang as well. I was more the battle MC performer. He's always been a great networker. He's always had great relationships with people versus me. You don't make a lot of great relationships when you're battling. It's like people don't want to rock with you like that. But yeah, Jay Cyanide, man. And he'll tell you this too. He used to come to the house all the time back when 7 Years of Bad Luck, Deadline, and Chain Letters. And my wife back then, she was like a drill sergeant. Because he would come to the house and record, but he would never put it out. And she was like, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting my husband's time?" Like, that's the first time I ever seen my wife go off like that. Jay Sinai laughs about it. He remembers, he's like, "Man, your wife like a damn drill sergeant." And he got it together, and she was really happy to see him doing his thing. And I always joke with him like, "Yo, when I was on my run, I couldn't even get you to record." We didn't have a lot of songs together. I mean, we did. He was part of a group called Lost and Found Department, and I did some songs with them. But if you ever heard my song, The Signature with John Doe, it's got the hook "Rock On with Your Broke Ass."
Mm-hmm.
Jay Sinai is the guy talking on the intro, like, "Hey man, yo, put me on, blah blah blah." If you go back and listen to it, that's Jay Sinai.
I gotta go
And
listen
we
again.
recorded that song in Jay Sinai's living room. So the history's there. A lot of people don't know, but yeah, that's been one of my guys since. I call him one of my day ones, man. We always roll tight together. Man, when it comes to making beats, hanging around Jay Sinai was the reason that I started making beats. He had an ASRX at that time, and I was like, I want to start making beats, and I bought an ASRX. He would show me a few things, and I go home and figure some things out, and he'd be like, "Wait, how the hell did you do that?" And so we would just have sessions where we would kind of show each other different tricks on, the Ensoniq ASRX, and he would take me digging. Like I used to just go out and buy records. I wouldn't know what the hell I was buying. I'd go digging with Jay Sinai. He'd be like, "Yo, that record got some drums on it. You never heard that?" He'd be like, "Nah, check this out." And he has a little portable player. So, yeah, I got to show major love to him. That's another reason too why I shouted him out on every last word too, because I'm like, damn, people don't know that we're homies. I think people think the guys that I do songs with are like always my real life friends. I got real life friends that I don't do a lot of songs with, but we're just like that, man. So. Shout out to Jay Sinai, man.
Wow, shout out to Jay Sinai. Yeah, I didn't know all that. That's dope.
Yeah, man. Yep. I remember my daughter, the one that's in college, was when she was born, and then Jay Sinai's son was born. They were in car seats next to each other, like baby seats next to each other at the house, man. So yeah, like I said, our whole family knows each other, man.
Amazing. Amazing.
And shout out to him, man, on everything he's been doing. Love the record with D Styles. I love the stuff he's been doing with Kev. I'm happy to see my brother out doing what I always knew that he could, man. And he probably would tell you, I probably believed in him when times other people didn't believe in him. And I used to be like, yo, Jay Sinai is dope. He was always there. He was pretty much with me every step of the way. He was there when first time I met little brother. Like he was always been just on the scene, man. He just kind of played his position and stayed in the cut, you know what I'm saying? Until he was ready to do his music thing.
Smooth and calculated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout out Jay Sinai.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of talented MCs, your manager, Sav One, is one of those.
Who's Sav?
Yeah.
Sav raps. I don't know Sav raps. Yeah, Sav, I know he's a dope DJ, and he has a lot of history with fat beats and stuff like that, man. Sav is he's kind of been, if I could call it, a silent partner, because nobody ever sees Sav, man. Sav's got like one picture. I thought he was like Charlie's from Charlie's Angels one time, like, and then I met him in person at A3C a long time ago for the first time, and yeah, Sav gives me a lot of feedback. I always say, like, I got two haters. It's me and Sav when it comes to music. If I'm not critical of it, Sav's gonna be critical of it. I would send him songs and he'd be like, yo, he just got on me the other day because Sav used to always say, you choose all these busy beats. Like your beats are really busy. He was like, you need to put more spaces in your stuff. Like you saying a lot, but it's just constantly nonstop. And I was like, you know what? When I did Old Man Strength, I decided to kind of put spaces in and give it some room to breathe and all of that. And then I mentioned it on a song. He was like, "Oh, you ain't give me no credit for that." So shout out to Sav, man. He's he was the reason I thought it was okay to come back to the music industry. I explained to him, look, I don't want to be famous. I'm probably not going to do a lot, but I just need a filter. I want to just focus on creating music and have somebody else handle the business for once, because I had always been like self-managed. I mean, I had managers off and on, but for the most part, I did like everything. And Sav was there. He helped me get back into the game. Introduced me to people, sending my records out and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's kind of the guy behind the scenes. Offers great ideas and advice, man, and and he's a real life friend. He's become a real life friend, man. So.
It's great, man. Eavesdrop Music Group. How long's that um, been your company?
So initially it was called Reform School Music, which is, technically the same company. When I did Leave of Absence EP, that was after I got out of my deals with Soul Spasm. I wanted to do my own thing. And so I formed a company called Reform School Music first. And
Yeah.
Reform School Music was based on, I used to be in a crew called Wax Reform. And Wax Reform was myself, Ilman, M Phases, Emilio Rojas, Moonshine, uh, Presto, and D Minor. And so when I broke off from that, me and M Phases initially were supposed to do a project together, and our group was called Reform School.
Mhm.
So, and like I said, it was an extension of Wax Reform. We never got a chance to do the project. I kind of just went with the name for Reform School Music. And as I started doing, more music and things on my own, I wanted something to, I don't know, Reform School started to sound a little juvenile because we never followed through with the project. And I came up with the name Eavesdrop as, especially when I started doing production. I started doing production and graphic design, and it felt like a little bit more than music. And the concept behind eavesdrop music is like yeah, I listen and hear what everybody else is doing, right? But at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna make the music I want to make, but just know I'm always listening. You know what I'm saying? I'm always listening for the dope cats on production. I'm always listening for the MCs and things like that. And I also got a track called Eavesdrop. We just finished with Breeze Brewing. It's
Ooh.
really dope as well too. So I plan on doing a lot under that name. For Eavesdrop Music, man. But yeah, it's kind of a hub for everything that I do. You know what I mean? Like I said, the concept is I'm paying attention. I don't get influenced a lot by a lot of people to change my sound up, but I'm always listening because that's how you stay sharp. You got to know what's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna ask you to give a few breakdowns of the tracks,
Okay.
but earlier this week you gave a great breakdown of Old Man Strength.
Right. Yeah, I had been planning to do that. I was gonna do one for every song on the album, but it's a lot of work when you film yourself and edit yourself and stuff. Yeah, I did one for Old Man Strength and just really broke it down. The song itself was inspired by Old Man Logan, or Logan Wolverine,
Mhm.
and it was one of those things where I just, like I said, I'm shaking the rust off. I'm trying to show that I'm still sharp with it, and a lot of people look at you as like an old head, or you've been in the game for a while, and they think like you're not nice. Like it's like I said in the song, like I'll dust one of these young boys off. Like don't play with me when it
You're
comes
talking
to
wrong
rap.
person.
Like I'm humble, but it's just like you're not gonna disrespect me when it comes to this rap thing. Like I'm still about that life when it comes to writing. I'm very serious about it. So that's what Old Man Strength was about, man. So, but yeah, just been trying to do breakdowns of just different songs or whatever. And if it's if it's another song that people want to see me break down, just let me
Mhm.
know. You know what I mean? It seems to be getting a pretty good response too. So
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
yeah, man, appreciate it. Yeah, it's all filmed by me. I set up 2 cameras basically in my living room and mic up and things like that. And it gets kind of crazy because when you're filming yourself, you may do a good take and then realize you didn't turn the mic on. I'm like, shit, I got to do this whole shit over again. So it's a lot of work, man. But at the end of the day, I just want people. The reason why I do a lot of this, especially breakdowns and videos, and I probably talk more than I ever have in my career because it's like if you don't tell your story, either it won't be told or somebody may not tell it the right way. And when I had some homies pass away, I realized their story was never told. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to be in that same position. I'm like, I need to get out and speak to people, let people know who I am as an MC. Sometimes you got to let people know the things that you've done. And, it's important that I tell my story. I don't want to leave this earth and people not know who I am, especially people that I feel like should know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Or your fans and listeners. I didn't even call people fans, but like your supporters and your listeners, they should know you. You know, they should know who they're supporting. Um, if people aren't going to support me because I'm the most popular, people are going to support me because they love my personality and they see that I'm genuine. That means that goes a long way. You know.
Will this 2-part EP have physicals?
Yeah, it will. So I wanted to wait and release it, the physical copies, when both parts are done. I didn't want to waste not to say waste the money, but I didn't want to spend the money on just pressing up 6 songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, because technically this album was supposed to be one album. It's just broken up into 2 parts. So once people hear the first part and the second part, then it'll be available for purchase. You know what I mean? As far as vinyl, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, but I was talking about people in vinyl. People keep asking like, yo, is it going to be on vinyl? And it really just depends on the support that I get. I think where a lot of artists go wrong is that a lot of times they have the product before they actually have the supporters. Like they'll go and order 100 pieces of vinyl, which is like almost a minimum. It's like $1,000, but you don't have 100 people that are going to buy your vinyl. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I got 300 people interested, then I'll get 100 pieces of vinyl because I know it's going to sell or whatever. It creates a demand. Other people miss out and things like that. But yeah, it's really about demand. At this point, I just want to do music. And, I also said too on Instagram, I'm not trying to tax people for every dollar that they have. I just did a project. It was $6. I know what's going on in the world. Everybody doesn't have money. Well, everybody don't have money for music. Everybody got $200 sneakers, but everybody don't want to spend money on music. And I understand that. So I try to keep things cost effective. I don't live off of music. So a lot of times I don't have to do a lot of things. I don't have to have a shirt, a hat, and things like that, which I will at some point, but it's about timing for me. It's like if I'm motivated and support's there, then I'll go ahead and do it. But I don't need any more extra merchandise in here. And I got a closet full of Supastition merchandise and Cam Moy merchandise, man. I don't need any more of that shit in here.
Is it you trying to sell any of that?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually putting together my online store. I shut it down during the pandemic. Right when the pandemic hit. And, people were afraid to go to the post office. We didn't know what the hell was going on. So I shut my store down and I just never put it back up at that time. And then I moved about a year and a half ago. We had a house built and now I have it all stored. So I just got to do inventory on it, see what's left. I'm pretty sure there's some vinyl, there's CDs and different things like that. Probably some shirts and all type, probably slip mats and all type of things in there. So, but yeah, I wanted to have it ready by the time every last word drop. I just didn't have time for it, So
okay. Wow, you just said you had a house built.
Yeah, man. We
that's it.
Oh, dude, it was amazing, man. And it was great for us, but to see my parents' face, like I remember when I told them, we basically got approved for a house. We're gonna have a house built, and to watch it go from nothing till them watching put the drywalls up, you walking through, literally walking up steps and there's nothing there. Dude, it was an amazing feeling. Like it hits a lot different. And it was kind of it was a 360 thing. Everything comes around. I've told someone before when I dropped Split in the Image, I was getting evicted from my apartment at that time. So now to be able to be in a place where I have a house built from the ground up, new construction, nobody's ever lived here, a huge yard. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing to watch my family come over and my friends come over and they just look at me like I remember Midas came to my house. Midas the Beast came to my house. He walked in. First thing he said, "So this is Black excellence." So it's very motivating for me. It's crazy because in life, I knew I would get it as far as being financially okay. I just thought it would come through music. I didn't think it would come from all the things that I do outside of music or whatever, and
Um,
it's legal. You know what I mean? Everything I'm doing is legal. I wake up, go to work every day. People trust me with like $1 million projects, basically, and it's a blessing, man. It like I said, it hits different. You come home, it's yours. You know, your kids have. I mean, dude, it's almost. You ever see like it just feels like it's too nice. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife are like, yo, this house is way too big. Like everything is.
do we live here?
Yeah, exactly. It's a smart home. Everything I can control through my phone. It's just like, man, we went from like struggling to feeling like we're the Jetsons now. Like, you know, being able to buy a house. Then I bought my wife a car for her birthday, and it's like, man, it's a blessing, bro. It is a blessing, and
Yeah.
that's why I think people can see that too. On my face, there's a certain happiness, my demeanor. I've accomplished a lot, and I've worked really hard for it. And you know, in music and everything that I've done, so there's a certain peace that I've reached in my life, man. And it's really dope.
That's great, man.
Thank you.
You know, major milestones to
Yeah, man.
just
It's
to get
something
to
to
that.
pass along to your kids and you know your future generations too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have one more question. No,
Okay.
I don't want to keep you much longer.
Okay.
And this is for a track you did Grand National Music with for Sean and Sky Zoo off
Okay.
M Slago's album, The
Right.
Spaz. That
All
was
right. So yeah,
a
go ahead. No.
up-tempo track right there.
Oh, word. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was he hit me up for a feature, and honestly, I didn't know who else was on this song. All it was a beat, and you know, he hit me for a feature. I dropped the feature, and I was like, oh, I love this beat is crazy. Then when I saw the end result, I'm like, damn, like I
Yeah.
haven't felt that way since I did like the best to do it with Royce and Elzai.
Ah,
It's just
ooh.
like, man, so you got some heavy hitters up here, and this is a message to producers, right? If you plan on putting some heavy hitters on the track, you gotta let rappers know because we got a different, we attack it a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly, that's the joint right there, man. So it's like you gotta let people know, like, you know, just kind of give us a courtesy. Like, if you gonna ask me for a verse, right? You got to kind of let me know if Roy's gonna be on it, or if Sean's gonna be on it, or
Right.
Sky Zoo, or Tay, or Brother Ali. Like you just can't be like, yo, let me get a verse. So now when I do verses, I try to body everything because I don't know if Jay-Z gonna show up. Nah, it's Buster. Like, but yeah, shout out to M Slago, man.
Dope, man. Mm-hmm. We have a great conversation with Superstition tonight. The EP, Every Last Word, is out now on Bandcamp and as well as other DSPs. If there's anything else, Superstition, you'd like to let the world know before we go?
Yeah, just you know, check me out. My website is the Hub Superstition, SUPASTITION.com, like you can see on the screen. Also superstition.bandcamp. I always let people know that, you know, my music 100% owned by me. So everything that you know, every dollar you spend on it goes directly to me, of course. Like, you know, digital distributors get their cut and all that. But yeah, I own all my music. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to get rich off music. I'm just trying to keep contributing to the culture, man. Make some dope shit that people want to hear. You know, just gonna keep doing my thing, man. So hopefully, after the summertime, I may, you know, I don't think I'll be doing like a bunch of tours and stuff like that, but I might do some spot dates in
Okay.
different cities and all that after part 2 drops, and you know, after Speakability drops and all that. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. Really good questions. You know, I got to shout out some of my people as well and talk about some things. Hopefully, people gain some new information about me and, you know, my past and my history, man. So.
There you go.
I'm gonna do some cool shit this year, man. So y'all make sure y'all follow me on social media too.
There you go. I put up the link tree for anyone that's tuning in right now in the comments.
Okay, for sure.
As you can see
That's love.
on the screen right now.
That's love. Thank you.
If you don't have any other shout outs, once again, Thank you for your time, as well as the music and the inspiration and just life in general.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I can continue to, help cats down this path called life and music. You know what I'm saying? For all my people, 30 and up, trying to figure out what's next for them. So
There you go.
thank you.
On behalf of our HHDG media crew, we want to say peace.
Peace, y'all.